Okay, we have here what I was told is a 62 Deluxe, Fender Deluxe. And I'll open it up in just a second and see if it is a Deluxe. The owner bought it and brought it to me to make sure that it is safe to play and that anything that needs to be changed is changed. And it's in seemingly nearly immaculate condition. It's got a little bit of dust on it. We'll take care of that while we do this. Let me flip this around and open it up. Okay, 2-conductor power cable. That's going to get changed. See some RCA on this tube. We'll check all the tubes in a little bit. Let's undo the speaker connection. Speaker is to a Jensen. Looks that's maybe a P12Q. Let's see. No, it's a P12R. I'll check the date code on that in a little bit. See if it's been reconed. And there's a 6G3 on the tube chart, but of course the part which would tell me the day and month has been torn away. The cab looks to be in really good condition. The pine looks practically brand new on the inside. I'll show that later. But not suspiciously so, like a reproduction. It looks like the real deal. Looks like it was the real deal that was just really extraordinarily well taken care of. So I'm going a little bit slow on all this stuff, the removal process, because it only takes one slip to de-vintage now. There are ways in which I will be intentionally de-vintaging this amp. Things like filter caps, probably, and power cables. And quite likely, the yellow coupling caps in this era of Fender, they often become leaky. We will find out, won't we? I've got a lot of friends who are well-known techs and amp builders who replace those yellow caps on site, and I have been known to do it. So let's see where we're at on this. Okay, got a 2 code there on the power transformer. I don't see a code on these sides of the output transformer. I can't really see from that side without moving the camera. It's got RCA 6V6s. Someone wrote on the chassis that it does in fact have 6V6s. That's nice. Never would have guessed. It's got a Mullard or Brimar or other British 5AR4 tube. It says 5AR4 GZ34, made in Great Britain. Extrapolating the probable manufacturer. And the preamp tubes are a Westinghouse Japanese 12X7A in V1. Another Westinghouse Japanese 12X7 in V2. And what looks to be an RCA 12X7 in V3. So we're off to a promising start. Now it's time to remove the doghouse cover. Move this so you can see it better. And on these chassis screws, I will remove them using a power tool at low torque, but I will only insert them by hand because it's too easy to strip them out. Let's see what wonders await us. Drum roll, please. Okay. Wow, yeah, that's had some work and seen some things, man. This model doesn't have a choke. It's got this 5-watt resistor here where a choke would be. Let me show you why this thing needs to have some filter caps before it's powered on. That right there is bad news. Let's change that out before it explodes. And this one's catching up to it, and this one's catching up to it. This one's got a tiny bulge. But you know, 16 or 22 microfarad caps are not expensive, and the sample sounds much better. But I warned him against even powering the amp on before I or some other really good tech had a look at it, and this is why. Because this could have exploded or shorted and taken out one of these original transformers. This one's definitely from 1962. Let's check on the the output transformer. Is there a code there? Well, Houston, we have a problem. The output transformer is not original. I should have spotted it just for the old hole there in the chassis where the original one was. This is a good quality replacement, but it's a 10K primary, and it's not correct for a Deluxe in a couple of other ways. It works, and it's a high quality error correct component, but it is not the ideal for a Deluxe. So I will break that to the owner in the morning and see where we're going to go with that. But like I said, I'm less familiar with the brown panel Fenders than with the black and the tweed. For whatever reason, there just haven't been that many that come in, and some of the changes between the brown and black panel eras could have been going from this open frame output transformer to the one I know in the Deluxe and Deluxe Reverb from 64 on, but no, that would have been the original same. The transformer would have been the same from the 62 to the 64, 65, and this is not that. So let's see where we're at once I speak to the owner. Okay, it's got its original bias cap. It's got a little added green Panasonic here. Let me make sure the focus is good on this. Yeah, a little green Panasonic added there in the negative feedback tail cap. That's pretty much useless. And it has the blue Ajax caps here. I need to check these two. They look original. They may or may not be leaky. These blue Ajax rather rarely become leaky, so that's good that it doesn't have the yellow Astrons like a lot of the 62s do, because those leak DC horribly. And original cathode bypass caps, those need to be changed. Let me look at it more closely with my eyes. I guess that's a popular thing with which to look. I have not seen this type of capacitor in Fenders before, but I've had a relatively small sampling of 61 to 63 amps. For some reason I get a lot of concerts, and the concerts I've had have not had this in here. I've had a lot of yellow Astrons in those, which are leaky. Interesting thing here I have not seen before, this little brass strip. Let's see if I can get the camera. Let me take this off the tripod for this part. Alright, it's an interesting little thing. I've never seen that little brass strip there, which is going to be shielding the input of this channel from the tremolo stuff. That makes a lot of sense. So that's cool. One of the things I'll need to double check is the values of the capacitors in this tone circuit. All right, it's got a 500 picofarad and a 2 nanofarad there. Same here. Sometimes that 0.02 20 nanofarad cap makes these things really dark. In an amp which needs service, I will often change that to a 4.7 like on a 5E3 Deluxe or a 10 and split the difference. You lose a lot of gain at a lot of the tone settings through that cap. It just rolls off a lot of, it dips down to what we consider the fundamentals in the middle, towards the middle of the neck. So it's not just rolling off the high end, it's rolling off a lot of signal. But I'm not going to change an original part unless it is defective. Yeah, I assume the owner wanted a 62 Deluxe to sound like one. So that will be my guiding principle. What can I do to keep this sounding like it was supposed to? Because I don't want to make this sound like a black panel Fender. The world has got black panel Fenders. This is a fairly rare beast. They only built for a short period of time, and I want to keep it going. So let's look at the output tubes here. All right, this is the era where Fender did not have screen grids or grid stoppers on their tubes. And the amp would certainly benefit from having those, especially given that these are RCA 6v6s. You know, in 1962, it didn't matter if a tube died because it didn't have screen grid resistors or grid stoppers, because you could go down to the local 5 and dime, you know, your drugstore, and get a new RCA 6v6 for very little money. If these RCA 6v6s are good, well, you cannot get new ones for very little money. So let's keep those going as long as possible. So these are the things where I will intentionally de-vintage the amp in order to make it last longer. So all the electrolytics will get changed out. The non-grounded power cable will be replaced with ground. Screen grid resistors, grid stoppers on the output tubes. New filter caps. I will take out someone's weird mod there with that little green chiclet. That is certainly not original, and it's just going to lessen the amount of negative feedback in a kind of odd way. And at that point, once we can power it up safely and know that there are no obvious problems, then we'll make sure that all the film caps are good and there's no leaking DC. It should be interesting. These are really cool sounding amps. Someone spilled something on that one. Hopefully that cap was not affected by that, but you can see it soaked the label through, and you can see the whole thing has just gone blue. Hopefully that won't affect the sound. I'm going on and on because, well, frankly, I love amplifiers, and this is a really clean example of a fairly rare and wonderful amplifier. And these are the things I look forward to working on. You know, if someone brings me a Black Star, I'll fix it, I guess. But I don't look forward to Black Stars. I don't look forward to Blues Juniors particularly. On some level, I am a bit snobbish, in that, you know, if I had my druthers, I'd work on just the really, really cool stuff. At the same time, it makes me feel good that I fix the inexpensive and the commonplace just as if they were the really good stuff. That said, that resistor looks like it's been messed with. This should be the really good stuff.